welcome to the kitchen again for some fall preserving. It is the second week of September and the rhubarb could die off at any day due to a frost. So in Michigan we usually have a frost around October. Our early frost date is sometime in September. I went out and I harvested lots and lots of rhubarb. So this is all of my rhubarb. I cut the bottoms off, and you cut about an inch from the leaves. The leaves are poisonous, so don't feed them to any animals. They're fine in the compost, so I use a lot of mine for weed control, and I compost them just around my other plants, like my grapevines and whatever. So this has all been washed. I use these totes to wash all of the harvested fruit from the farm, and with them already cut, you can put them right in the food processor. Now you want to cut these in about 1-inch sections. My Cuisinart food processor has an adjustable setting, so I have it set on a number 6. So they're not quite an inch, but some of the stalks like this are so thick that because of the thickness, the size kind of makes up for it. So chopping a lot of this by hand, I probably harvested 50 pounds today. Not even really trying to harvest it, I was just cleaning up the row. So to can the rhubarb, you need to heat it, and heat it in a syrup of sugar or a sugar substitute like honey. You could use maple syrup, but that may give you kind of an off flavor. So today I'm actually using the sugar because I want to conserve my honey for so many more other cooking options. So I'm just running it through on the food processor. My food processor is a 12-cup food processor. So figuring out how many cups your food processor is, your instructions for doing the rhubarb is a half to 1 cup of sugar per quart of rhubarb. So I've got 3 quarts with each full batch that I put through the processor. And you can see it feeds them through on its own. I don't really have to do much of that. You definitely don't want to stick your hands down in there. This is the pusher to push in. And then I just dump it right into the pot. So I've got this warming up on a medium heat while I cut the rest of it. And I'm layering in the sugar so that I don't lose count or not have the sugar evenly distributed. So this is about 1.5 cups of sugar for my 3 quarts. And just to show you, for our food storage and stuff, I buy sugar and I store it in a 5-gallon bucket. This is a Mylar bag, and then I put a lid on it, and we use the Gamma lids because they work really well for opening and closing the lids, and they have a rubber gasket at the top to keep any moisture out. We also have the pouches for keeping moisture out in them for food preservation also. So the Gamma lids work really good, and we just label it. So we've got just a couple more pieces to chop here. My stock pot is a 22-quart stock pot. And it was something that I asked for as a Christmas gift. If you do a lot of food preservation, asking for stuff like this kind of makes the family laugh at me, but these are the things that I really use and get the most use and appreciation out of. Lord knows my sock drawer is overflowing. My husband will come home from store shopping trips because he thinks I could use a few more mason jars. One day he came home with an entire truckload of mason jars. Which, if you buy mason jars, really, I suggest just buy the new. It's worth the hassle of running to the store versus having to clean up somebody's basement finds. I've done them both ways. And the basement finds, a lot of times you'll get mayonnaise jars, which aren't approved for food preservation. So this actually is warming up, and I can hear very low simmer. Because it's such a big pot, they sell industrial size utensils at any food supply. Occasionally at like Meijer you can get things like this. So a little thing like this is not going to reach to the bottom of the pot very well. And because we layered the sugar, that's going to help it a lot. So they actually recommend letting this set for 3 to 4 hours. I don't always do that. What I like to do is to get some of the moisture out and then let it set. So that's what we're going to do now. Because I can hear that low boil, I know that it's a good time to turn it off and let it set. This will attract fruit flies or hornets, so you don't want it sitting out. I actually process my rhubarb outside by cutting the leaves and the bottom of the plant where I rip it off, and the hornets liked it a lot. And then I get all the scraps to the pigs, so they clean it up right away for me. So we're gonna let this sit for 3 or 4 hours and we'll come back for the canning. Hey everyone, so the canning the rhubarb is finished. There really wasn't much to show you. Canning is canning. We heated up the rhubarb, and you only run it to a boil for 30 seconds and then turn it off. So then I just switch my canner over to a toweled countertop, and I start filling the jars here, and then I put them in the hot water bath canner, and it's 15 minutes for quarts. So you can see we have all these quarts filled up with the fresh rhubarb that we harvested today. We have 4 batches of 7, so we have 28 jars. And a neat thing that I did this time, I didn't want to waste all that leftover syrup, so I boiled all the leftover syrup and made 4 jars, well, almost 5 jars of rhubarb jelly. So I always make rhubarb jam and strawberry rhubarb jam, so we're going to have some rhubarb jelly. So it'll be real good to add to the ice cream that we make too. So that's the rhubarb processing, everybody. You can see the ton of dishes from all of it. We ended up with 2 22-quart pots full of rhubarb, and I went with the 1/2 cup per quart of sugar. If you were questioning that, a cup just seemed too much, and I think the 1/2 cup seemed plenty sweet. And the letting it set for 3 to 4 hours is to sweat the rhubarb so that it loses its juice. It retains that, so then you don't get jars full of water at the end. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ask any questions. I will answer the best I can. Bye.